Morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rad Life. One of the things that I really look for, or I have been looking for, I guess, in the last couple of weeks of doing this show, is how the current crisis is impacting people in different sectors of the market, different business models, different things that people are doing, and what are they doing to either adjust or enhance their capabilities, or maybe they're shuttering their businesses. And one of the things that I think one of the things about businesses that have the need for in-person interaction in the conducting of the business are the ones that I think are challenged the most. I've been remote working for the last 20 years. We do a lot of stuff that is communicative electronically. Until we are in construction or on site, there tends to be the ability to do a lot of the stuff remotely, the planning, the concept development, etc. So the thing that I wanted to do today is I wanted to reach out to a friend of mine who is actually in the auction business. He, in my opinion, is the go-to auctioneer in Orange County and beyond, and that is Mr. Zack Krone. And I want to bring him on. I want to find out from him how he's been doing in the last couple, because he's really, really busy. I mean, it's really hard to even get this guy booked. He's booked way in advance. And so with that being said, let me just get him from the green room and we can find out how his business has been impacted. Zack, are you there?
I'm here, sir. Look at you.
How are you, buddy? Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I don't know. I know. Just move your head for a minute. Let people see the logo.
Ah, you want the logo, do you?
I want to see the logo. California Coast Auctions. There you go. Very nice.
You know how necessity breeds innovation?
Go ahead. Let's start with that.
So I'm doing like all sorts of virtual auctions now, and I needed a backdrop, and I can definitely do one virtually. So sadly, because of all this, my son's Little League has canceled, and I was the sponsor of the team. And because of that, I got this banner that the league made for me. Now that the league is closed, I went to the Little League field and cut down my banner and brought it home.
Okay, let's give you that. Let's give you some free advice here. Okay.
I'm all ears.
Okay, move the banner off to one side. Move it off to the left, so I can see it, because you're blocking it.
Well, here, let me just get out of the way.
There you go. There you go. No, but now your No. But can you move the banner at all to one side while you're on the camera?
It's weighted down because
That's what happens when you basically go to the baseball field and grab your banner with the weight.
Hey, it was a quick thing because I couldn't get a sign made right now.
Are you on an Apple or are you on a IBM clone? What are you using for your laptop?
Oh, it's a LG touchscreen.
Okay. So
it's called the Grain.
Yeah. So you might want to try this later, not now, but you may want to try actually dropping in that same logo on the green screen components that Zoom has. It may actually drop it behind you fully. Here. Let's try it. Try dropping your logo on the background.
Virtual background. Check this out. I can do it.
There you go.
Boom.
There you go. Yes, there you go. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Free Zoom consulting during an interview on the Raad Life. I mean, we just
I've already done it before. It just doesn't have the website. But yeah, and plus when you move, it's like you might have fingers.
Okay, fine. You know what? You're right. That's a little too ghosty for me. Go ahead and kick it out of there. Let's go back.
No, I'm gonna keep it there. Too bad. Okay, idea. Fine. You gotta stick with it. You gotta live with your choices.
Are you getting ornery because you're basically not interacting with people right now? Is that what this is that I'm feeling?
Like I was saying earlier, I'm like a dog in a park. As soon as I see another person, I'm just like, hey, look, there's one of me. And ornery, ornery's not the right word, but I've always just kind of been a professional, wisecracker.
Which in my opinion is why you basically so sought after, by the way. Anybody, just sit back for a minute, okay? Anybody who's had the pleasure of actually watching this man perform, and it is a performance for sure, right? While he is conducting his business as an auctioneer, like par none in my opinion, right? I mean, the way I introduce Zack usually to people is like, okay, oh, you have an event, you need an auctioneer. Yeah, the only person you need to call is Zack Krone. That's just pick up the phone. Here's his number. That's all you need to do. You're done. Go on to the next to-do item on your list, right? this
You're
man
too
really,
kind.
when he says he's a wisecrack, and we're using the clean word in here, but when he's a wisecrack, yeah, he is definitely a wisecrack. But I said before I brought you on, Zach, that a lot of the businesses, not like mine, we've been remote working for about 20 years. So, there's a lot of the stuff that we can do as part of our business that we can do remotely, electronically communicate. It doesn't require us to be in physicality or, in physical interaction with other people until we get to a job site and we're starting to construct and all that stuff. In your case, in industries that basically have a very much at their core, a human component, a human connection, a presentation, a performance, a live presentation, a performance, right?
Yeah,
Those, I think, have been probably the hit or challenged the most during
sure.
this kind of crisis, right?
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know about you, give a little background to you, the business, and let's talk about this. How's it been the last couple of weeks?
Okay. Uh, about 8 years ago, I became a full-time benefit auction specialist. I'd worked in other aspects of news and television production, and I've been a performer, class of 2000, San Clemente, Triton of the Year in theater arts. And I pretty much started doing this because I had I fulfilled the role of being an MC for a lot of different profits. And I kept seeing the same problem, which was a room full of socialites and debutantes being asked to pay attention to a commercial auctioneer who's, used to selling cars, couches, and cattle. And
Mm.
they're clearly just going through the motions, doing their fast chant that no one can understand. And I was like, this needs more. This needs to be entertaining and interesting. So I started doing them back in like 2006. And then in 2011, I decided let's do it full time. And rather than work for Reuters, which was great at the time, but like any job, it can get tedious and old. Um, and now I'm practically a full-time benefit auction specialist and fundraising consultant because after doing it 250 times a year, I'm probably down at 100 now because I don't want to do that many because it's exhausting. Um, so I now have a team of about 9 auctioneers who I've
Mhm.
kind of plucked and vetted and trained to kind of drink my Kool-Aid as far as that this is a degree of auctiontainment is required. That's what I like to call it. So I'm one part talent agent now, and I'm just a series of cautionary tales of what not to do
And
in the
what
fund.
works in a fundraising environment, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of do's and don'ts. It's like putting on a live theatrical performance that's unscripted. So you got to know what to do without being and still keep it organic, and essentially how to inspire, motivate, and incentivize people to give and raise a bid card. So it was really crazy because my birthday was on March 8th, which
Hmm.
was a Sunday. It was a great party and everything, but there was this looming cloud of uncertainty at that time, if you remember.
Yep.
And then March 9th, the world came crashing down. And this beautiful Jenga tower that I had meticulously crafted for the spring season got completely demolished. And I spent the next 2 weeks restacking it for the fall. Most people are rescheduling their events for the fall. But at the same time, building the airplane as I learned to fly about virtual events. And I had been conducting virtual events for 3 years in the real estate world and in the high end collectible world for places like Julian's, which is a great auction house, and saw how relatively easy they were to do. So I've just taken that knowledge and done webinars, and I've been holding consultations with people on Zoom conference calls about how to actually do a virtual auction, which for a lot of nonprofits is a necessity. And there's unwilling participants because it seems like this big, scary monster to tackle because it's so unknown to them. And I just have to be a bridge between the logistical side and the technological side of how to pull off a virtual auction and the most sweetest altruistic people who are working in nonprofits because they're the ones who are getting hit the hardest. So if I can get any point across, it's to continue to donate, continue to give the way you would normally give if this wasn't happening, because much more so than the live performance industry, the nonprofit industry is always the one to take an economic downturn the hardest. So whatever cause you love, whatever cause you support, give more now.
And that's what I'm hearing from a lot of people, actually, Zach. It's
Yeah.
that sort of growth mindset, but also that we're all in this together. That has to be part of your new marketing and business development DNA. That
Hmm.
I mean, I kept making reference to it yesterday on interviews, like, not to basically pick any kind of political allegiance or anything, but the terms "I feel your pain" keep coming back to me as a guiding mantra when you're basically approaching people from a business perspective. Like, you need to be sensitive to where people are, what's going on with them, what they're
Yeah.
facing, and I'm seeing people that are doing it well. I'm seeing people that are doing horribly, because, don't tell me about the fact that you're an exclusive provider of some fancy Italian line of furniture right now that basically is some retro stuff that I don't really need. I am not even paying attention to you, right?
Right.
So whether you have something of value or not, the nature of the messaging is going to basically block me off right now anyway. And
Right.
then down the road, if I hear it, it's like, well, yeah, I remember that, and I didn't really care for it then. I think people are very. It's very. There's a big risk, let's say, that right now, out of desperation, out of lack of clarity, of not taking the time to really kind of get down to what is your core of your business, and what is the soul of your business, even more. If you could easily damage your business or your brand easily. I mean, I
You're
think.
either yeah, you're either growing or you're dying. And
But your growing right now has to be different
yeah.
from the way we were growing before. Like, you have to
Oh
literally
yeah.
nurture, seed. Um, it's not a harvest time basically right now, I
No.
think.
Hey, look who decided to show live on the radio. This is the next future in the auction industry. This is my 5-year-old boy, Monty. Say
Hi,
hi.
Monty.
Ready?
That's Rod. Yeah, I'm on the radio right now. So
Something
talk, yeah.
is blue in my toilet, and what is it? It looks like a blue tablet to me.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What?
Yep. Okay. Say bye.
Bye, Monty.
Blue rabbit.
Go ask
is
Mommy.
away.
I don't know what that is. I have no idea what you're talking about. But it's
It's
fun.
a tablet.
A blue tablet. Oh,
So you have your own built-in audience.
well, California Coast Auctions headquarters just happens to be attached to the house I live in, and it's fun.
So
I've always
how's it been with that, Zach? Because I mean, I'm guessing that's also now there's another layer of things that are occupying your structured day, if you will.
I
Has
love
now
it.
been thrown for a loop, right?
I mean, I never worked from an office. I always worked from home. I think I had an office once in Laguna Beach,
Yeah.
and I'd say, "Come to my office. We'll have a meeting." And they're like, "Okay, you're coming to my office. I'm not going anywhere." So I was like, "Why do I have an office to show off?"
Yeah,
And,
that's why I gave up my office for the same reason. I was never there.
yeah,
But
my office is the stage at Monarch Beach Resort, Ritz Carlton, Montage, Balboa Bay Resort. Those are my offices.
so
Otherwise,
how's it been on that side of it, like of conducting the business? Because now you've got other demands on your time with the kids, and has that changed how you're structuring your day as far as conducting the
oh,
business?
everything's changed. Luckily, I don't have to go to in-person consultation meetings and drive to Anaheim Hills to talk to people. I love the fact that people are evolving more towards a digital interface, because I can be much more productive, and not have to fight traffic and all that stuff. So that's great. I'm still wall to wall phone calls and consultation meetings because everyone's searching for answers right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pleased that, like we were talking earlier, you have to adapt in this environment. I never really saw it as like this scary thing to adapt to. It was just something that I was like, okay, I got the time to learn. I've always kind of wanted to learn more about it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how you promise yourself you're going to learn to speak Spanish or learn the piano. Well, now you have the time to do it.
Right.
And
we were talking about that this, if you look at this time as being a time for retooling, for
yeah,
increasing skill set. Yeah,
I get to work on my business, not in my business as much. And
right.
I get the weekends off because I don't have to travel and go do auctions other than the one I'm doing on Friday.
Right.
For Julian's, which is going to be a lot of fun. But
now you
there's
you just did one for Julian's, didn't you?
Yeah, I just did the estate of Doris Day, which was over myself and my fellow auctioneer Vincent Zapian, sold over 1,200 lots from our respective remote locations and we're taking bids from all over the world on Doris
Wow.
Day's dresses, set pieces, cars, Golden Globes. It was amazing. And it raised, their goal was to raise $2 million for her, the Doris Day Animal Foundation, and we raised over $3 million. And so it was wildly successful, and it certainly is proving the point I've been trying to make, which is people are at home, people are bored, give them something to do. Like with your virtual cigar mixer the other night, you give people an opportunity to, you know, especially the people who have the means to support good causes, they don't have any distraction. They have no excuses as to why they can't bid or give or attend some of these events, because I think people are kind of adjusting to the fact that they have a little bit more time on their hands.
Well, the funny thing about the cigar auction that you, or not cigar auction, the cigar event that you were talking about, is that I noticed something different, because these are events that have taken place before multiple times. They're put on by John Dade. He basically is, you know, just really he's really refined this type of event where he's basically combined his passion for cigars and scotch as a networking platform. People of equal mind, you know, come together. But I noticed something that was different, Zach, and I think it's to your point about how when it's a live event or like doing a thing at Julian's, the skill set required, the way you approach it is different. Last night when we did the cigar mixer, we were able to bring in people that were from the Westlake, Los Angeles, San Diego chapters without anybody commuting.
Love it.
So that was one aspect, right? So there was I mean, because we're all at home kind of thing, there was a little bit more of a casualness to it maybe than a formality.
Sure.
We also, I noticed that when it's in real life, people congregate and sort of click in little clicks, right? Or they go around to our vendors or people that are purveyors of, you know, we usually have there's usually a distillery, a cigar manufacturer, something that is there. So they tend to do the circuit.
Yep.
And so the level of connection and level of communication and depth of communication in terms of discussion tends to be more superficial, more surface, right?
Well, whenever you go to an event, you have to put on the face, you know.
Well, guess what? Having that mixer yesterday night and having 12 people staring at each other and actually having to institute very organically within the first few minutes the fact that everybody can't talk at the same time, and that the moderator, me, the host, basically, I literally felt like a homeroom teacher, basically telling people to put up their fingers if they wanted to speak, and everybody else mute themselves. And we basically, you know, if you put up your one finger, you're asking to go to the bathroom. If you put up two fingers, you're asking to speak. It was a joke, but basically everybody conformed. Everybody started like basically muting their mics and basically putting on a thing, and the level of conversation and discussion was totally different from an in-life thing, right? So even though we were missing on the in-person communication and connection, there was a layer to this that had never occurred from my experience at these events. And it was being shared by, I mean, we had a discussion, we asked questions, people answered. That is another thing that is a nice, pleasant surprise, if you will.
It's a much more round robin sort of thing. You know, right now you're right, there's no sense of tribalism. Going to a public event for a lot of people is kind of, you know, there is a certain anxiety. So you stick with who you know, not everyone's an extrovert. And
it didn't matter what you drove up to the event in. It didn't matter whether you were sitting outside your little apartment. And
you're probably wearing pajama bottoms as we speak. You're wearing a nice shirt and a nice coat, but yeah, you're.
So yeah, I told you not to mention that on the air.
I think it's
I've been living in pajama bottoms for the last 4 weeks. What are you talking about?
I pretty much go from my day pajamas to my night pajamas. So
I think they call them trainers for the day pajamas, but that's okay. But yeah, no, it was very interesting, because there was also, to your point, there was sort of a leveling, right? It didn't really matter whether you were sitting in a hacienda back patio or you were sitting on a small apartment balcony. Everybody was still at the same level. There was, the status wasn't really a layer to this.
You're going to see that change, though. People are going to get really fancy back here. Yours is already super nice and cool.
Oh no, I agree with you. I've been saying that to people. In fact, that's why we we set up that option on Golden Seal Productions. If anybody who wants to do a podcast or a video show, to talk to us, because having done this show for 5 years, and you basically in being sort of an entertainer, you realize that there's pitfalls. I mean, there's things that are learned along the way. So you could very easily set yourself up in this arena,
Yep.
on the wrong footing, and find yourself backed up against the wall very quickly. And because a minute ago 1% of the population may have been using Zoom, and now maybe 30% of the population has been using Zoom or some form of electronic communication, the visual of it, the layering, the sophistication of it, in order to have a competitive advantage, is going to continue to increase for sure.
Yep.
You're spot on.
Yep. We are all learning to fly as the airplane is being built in a lot of ways.
Well, we're all performers now. I mean, look at this. Like, really, whether I mean, I was having a conversation with somebody who told me that basically their Zoom is now their break room and their boardroom, right? and basically that before, when they'd get on a conference call, they could do it audio, and nobody cared whether you were audio and video. In fact, if you were a video, it was kind of a little awkward. Like, why would you be a video, right? So everybody was on audio. Now with this, if you're an audio, you seem odd. Like, what are you trying to hide, right?
The fact that you didn't shave,
and the fact that you cannot be on audio and multitask and do multiple things at the same time, because you're literally on camera.
Yep.
Right? Is a totally different reality now in how you communicate. And then, is there a different set of etiquettes that is involved? You'll love this, actually.
Yeah. There certainly is.
So tell me about, with your case, like doing the Julian's auction, for example, right?
Yeah.
How was that different from if you were doing that kind of auction in real life? You kind of started talking to me about it a little bit.
Julian's has kind of been on the cutting edge of doing virtual auctions compared to all the other auction houses for a while, because they're a little smaller, a little more boutique. So they're much more agile. It's easier to institute change. And so the other auction houses had to like shut down and furlough all their workers. And Julian's already had the apparatus for virtual events to happen. When I was conducting a Julian's auction with a crowd, there'd be like anywhere between 20 to 50 people that could take live bids. And I'd be still looking at the camera, looking at my screen as to where the current bid is at, and taking bids from people on the phone and taking people from bids on the different auction bidding platforms. Mm-hmm. So now the only thing I've lost is the interaction with the people in the room, which always provided plenty of entertainment and plenty of interaction. And I do miss having a crowd, because the auctioneer will always give the benefit, and the tie will go to the person who actually attends the event over the online element. But most auctioneers in my field don't know how to interweave a crowd environment with a virtual environment. And that's the change we're really going to see. Even after this whole thing is behind us, after the health scare is kind of gone, even after the economy bounces back, there's still going to be this cultural residue of how people perceive attending a live event. And until, there's going to be building code changes, is my guess. A 400-person ballroom is now going to only be a 300-person ballroom. Right. Food is going to, this is the end of the buffet as we know it. Mm-hmm. There's going to need to be hand sanitizers every 8 feet. We're probably going to have to walk through some sort of UV light array to get disinfected before we go. You might get your temperature taken before you can get on a plane. All that kind of stuff is going to change. So people are going to look at attending a live event a little bit differently. And until they feel 100% safe in doing so, which you're never 100% safe, they will think twice. So nonprofits and schools are going to have to adapt, and they're going to have to accommodate the people who are scared to congregate. They might have an underlying condition. They might be over a certain age, and 85% of the donors, at least in Orange County, are over 60. And so I'm going to now be taking bids from people in the room, and there's going to be a bank of tables, just like at Julian's, of people bidding on the phone and people bidding online, and a representative taking their bids. And we see this across the auction industry already. After 9/11, the car industry took a big hit, and it needed you might recall everything was like 0% financing for 5 years. And so the car auction industry adapted and took in virtual auctions. Barrett Jackson, Mecum, they all had a virtual platform.
Mm-hmm.
And they had it before, but now they really ramped it up because they needed to expand their marketplace.
Right.
Same thing happened in the real estate auction world after the recession. We got all these foreclosed homes and all these trustee sales going on. And it's not like the bidders in Southern California can always support the influx of volume.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the volume isn't going anywhere for the nonprofits. All of them are going to stay afloat. They're going to get government support. Big donors always show up in times of need like this. And the data supports that people do tend to give more when there's an
crisis.
Yeah. When there's a need, when there's a crisis. So the nonprofits are going to be okay, but they're providing more services too. So it kind of balances out. A lot of them are transitioning. There's a lot of good causes out there that would like build certain things, and now they're building other things that are going to help the medical community. Mm-hmm. There's my phone's blowing up with my next conference call starting in 10 minutes. So to be able to adapt right now is so necessary because the mindset of the donor is going to change as far as how they approach a live event. And so this blip in our timeline, this is an opportunity to experiment, to innovate, and it's an aim small, miss small sort of thing. You're not gonna really lose anything by trying to hold a virtual auction, because it's so lo-fi. You're not paying for food, you're not paying for a venue, you're paying for an AV company, your online bidding platform, which you probably had already, mm-hmm. and someone like myself to conduct the thing. Doing a pure virtual auction is a lot like doing a Jerry Lewis telethon. It's hardly an auction. It's more about filling the time and being a continuous delivery of valuable content and incentivizing people to stay in front of their computer for 20 or 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so we've met those challenges head on because there's only 3 ways to get anyone to do anything mm-hmm. in the planet and in the nonprofit world. You either inspire them with your cause, with your ideas, with your personality, with why it's important to support you. And you see that across all business and political spectrum too. You motivate them with things that are more cerebral, for the people that might have the emotional depth of a puddle, you speak to their intellect, mm-hmm. Or you incentivize them about what they could actually garnish, win, earn, and retain in return for their generosity or attentiveness. And so it's just coming up with new and creative ideas to do those 3 things in a virtual medium.
So inspire, motivate, incentivize.
That's right. Right. And if you do all 3 every day, you must be married. Because that's what it takes.
But that's a really good advice all around, I think, Zach, and especially now, like inspire, motivate, and incentivize is probably not a bad, pillars to hold on to as you communicate and kind of transition, regardless what your business is.
Sure.
It is an interesting time for that, and I think what's going to be interesting is, you have to now develop the skill to do a Jerry Lewis telethon. And
luckily, I had that before I ever became an auctioneer. So
right,
which is.
But I'm just saying in general, the industry, and like if you're not in that space, right, this is the time to maybe do that. Now, how do you go about doing that? Do you
you don't?
Do you practice in front of the mirror? Do you set up a
it's hard to take.
What do you?
I mean, I've been on stage since I was 5 years old. I've never been afraid to be on stage, to make jokes, to whether it's live theater, whether it's on camera work, whether it was doing all the MC work and all the hosting duties in college and high school for any sporting event. It's just your familiarity and comfort with yourself on stage and on the mic is the new skill set. Auctioneering was always that kind of safety net. Mm-hmm. You could venture out and tell a little joke or monologue a little bit, but you always got to go back to the auction. Now you're accepting bids virtually. And so you lose that, kind of
direct feedback.
yeah, you miss that interaction. So I guess the best way I can compare it is like going to a comedy club versus watching a comedy show on Netflix. That's kind of, you lose that sensibility of the crowd, which is that real peer pressure kind of thing, that sense of contagious giving. Oh, he gave, so I better give too,
Right.
so I don't seem cheap.
Yeah, but
So,
to your point, and
but you can still integrate it. Yeah.
yeah, that's very true. To your point, a lot of people have dabbled with like online auctions, not silent auctions before an event, after an event. We've been dabbling with sort of these hybrids, layers in addition to your typical event structure for a
Yep.
little while now. And
Now we're forced to do it.
now we're forced to do it, and I think we now also have potential. Like, for example, if you
Yep.
genuinely put the effort into doing a virtual auction, the bid range, the reach that auction has now, technically, if it's structured correctly, is
Worldwide.
much wider. So
Yep.
before you go, I want to put up your website, your logo and website again. So it's calcosauctions.com. Zack Krone is the only person you need to call if you have an auction or virtual auction. Yeah, and I don't get paid for that, but that's really from the heart, my friend. But
Thanks, brother.
You're welcome. And the other thing I want to do is go ahead and give people, if it's okay to do that,
Yeah.
the Julian, like what because I know you got another Julian auction coming up, and I think they have a chance to now watch it in person. I mean, heck, how much Netflix can you people binge on? Go watch Zack do Julian auction.
So on Friday, starting at 10 a.m., I will be conducting a virtual live auction. So I'm taking bids from people on the phone and people on about 3 different online bidding platforms, all competing against one another, to sell about 250 lots of rare collectible Beatles memorabilia. And so we're selling the baseballs that they signed when they played Candlestick Park, autographed that when they met Muhammad Ali, which was a great moment in Beatles history. Signed pictures and memorabilia from their last live show, and the actual stage they played on when they were the original band name, in London.
Yes.
Like I can't remember, the Palace, I think it's called. So some really cool, rare things to bid on. What's really interesting about that is the separation of socioeconomics, because rich people are home and they're bored, and they and well, they're not bored, they're never bored, but they got something they would want and something they do. And then you have your more transactional bidders who may not feel like they have the disposable income to bid, so you can actually get a really good deal on some pretty cool, like you want a Beatles lunch clock that was made in the 60s, it's going to be there.
And as an entertainer, it's providing you a wider stage. I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? Because because people would go to events or not go to events, and if you're associated with the organization, they may bid on this to support it. But that was pretty much it. Now there's more of an entertainment actually.
There's thousands of people streaming this, and it's weird because public speaking is a fear for a lot of people. I don't feel like I'm public speaking. But yeah, sometimes there's like a comment board that you can bid on through Julian's Live and comment on them, and sometimes I'll read them off. So there is a degree of interaction there, which I love. And it's definitely at the forefront of the auction industry. And so anyone that is not experimenting with this, learning how to do it, this was going to happen in 5 years anyway. We now are just forced to do it.
Accelerated, yeah.
Exactly. And so it's fun, it's easy, it's cool. If you can't, you click on a link, you register the same way you would if you were there in person. So it's not too hard.
And what's the website for Julian's?
That would be juliansauctions.com. JULIENS auctions.com.
And that's tomorrow, Friday,
it's just 10th? Friday at 10 a.m.
Friday the 10th, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
that's tomorrow. Okay. So
no, it's not. Today's Wednesday.
Oh, sorry.
Today's Thursday.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. The auction's Saturday. Excuse me. The auction is Saturday the 11th.
So I was right. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. So you're Saturday. Okay. Yeah. So it's okay, man.
It is Friday. What am I thinking? It is Friday. I don't remember what day it is anymore.
It's okay. We're all suffering from the same thing. The days are all running into each other. So, okay, everybody, just to be clear, Zach is going to be
Friday.
basically auctiontaining tomorrow, Friday, April 10th at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10
10
o'clock
o'clock.
on juliansauctions.com.
That's right.
And it's going to be Beatles memorabilia. So definitely don't miss the show, literally, by tuning in and watching this guy. Get a sense of what Zach does, because I really think he's an entertainer, and I think you might have found yourself a new stage, my friend.
I appreciate that.
Right, and I will be checking in. So again,
Cool.
his company is calcoastauctions.com, California Coast Auctions. He's the only person you should be calling if you have an auction, whether it's in real life or it turns out now virtually. And
you would know that because you've done it at least 3 or 4 times.
What I've had the pleasure of your entertainment multiple times. Yes.
Well, I mean, you recommended me for Carrie Kasem's nonprofit. You recommended me to Casa Romantica, which is still our client, one of our longest standing client. You definitely introduced me to Ronald McDonald House, which is something I really wanted to do, because after my first son was born, we actually stayed at the Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah.
And you've just been a friend and an advocate. And I know you go to a lot of fundraisers and a lot of events. Sometimes you're on stage, sometimes you're not. It's the clothes and it's the hair and it's the bravado of Rod Gantos. He's a man not unfamiliar with, you can tell he looks in a mirror and goes, okay, this works. I can,
Hey, these days when I look in the mirror, it talks back to me because it's the only person I'm interacting with. So.
Oh, that's not true. Well, I'm curious who's cutting your hair. How you getting a haircut these days?
Actually, I'm not cutting my hair. The hair is long and out of control.
You're going a little Einstein-y on us when you roll it out like that.
It's under control. It's been. I told people the equivalent of hairdressers these days is a tube of gel. That's your hairdresser.
When I look at Rod, I see Tony Stark and the Dos Equis guy got put together, and that's what.
Okay, that's it. Like. I'm cutting you off. You're done. Have a great auction tomorrow, my friend. I will be tuning in to check it out. Again, everybody, tomorrow, Friday, April 10th at juliansauctions.com. Zach will be auctiontaining. So come watch the show. See you, buddy.
Thanks, brother.
Peace out.
Thank you very much. Pleasure joining you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me, too.
Adios.
Bye.